BMW's M Performance division has long been the benchmark for the competition in terms of modifying their more mainstream cars and turning them into high-performance machines. Now, like the 3 Series in which it's based, the M3 has always been the pinnacle of the BMW 3 Series chain. Now, what I have behind me is a 2002 M3 Convertible. Now, when this generation came out in 2001, it marked the first time that the US did not get a watered-down version from the rest of the world. 2002 also marks the year that BMW's very new at the time SMG transmission became available. So with a high-revving 3.2-liter straight 6, was this vehicle worth the wait back in 2001? Well, let's find out. Now, this particular generation M3 is based off of the 3 Series known internally as the E46, a generation of 3 Series that is very popular with enthusiasts, consumers, and was just a very big critical success and sales success for the brand. Now, every luxury car manufacturer tends to emulate the 3 Series. They're always trying to copy it, benchmark it. They want what BMW has with this vehicle, and it's the most well-known vehicle in their lineup. Now, the M3, of course, is the pinnacle of the 3 Series chain. It's got the 3.2-liter straight 6, 8,000 RPM redline, rear-wheel drive architecture, and a 6-speed manual or the 6-speed SMG. It's available in 2 body styles, a coupe and a convertible like this one. A sedan actually didn't come around until the E90, but there was actually a sedan available back a long time ago when it was just a 240 horsepower straight 6. Now, this particular generation spans from 2001 up to about 2005. And of course, in 07, I believe, is when the next generation M3 came out. Now, in terms of, detailed specifications, I'm not quite as familiar, just because I know BMWs, they tend to be available in just one trim, and you kind of have to option up with everything. Now, the M3 does come well equipped because it's an M3. It's got those gorgeous looking 18-inch alloy wheels. You have subtle M3 badges around the vehicle. One thing about BMWs is they're very stealthy. I mean, you really couldn't give away that this is an M version of the car until you get to the back. When you get to the back, you see that nice M3 badge on the back, and then most M model BMWs will have the quad exhaust outlets. So that's another giveaway, as the just more plebeian BMW models do not have the quad exhaust outlets. Now, coming to the interior, this one does have, kind of just your gray leather interior. It's somewhat of a dark interior, but I mean, this is kind of the theme here with this kind of vehicle. Most sporty trim vehicles have a darker interior. Now, stepping into the vehicle, it's got somewhat of a lower step-in height. And you can see the interior here is just, it's the old E46 interior. It was a good interior design. Now, here's the key for the vehicle. There's no smart key access in this vehicle, so don't expect to, try to find it. So you do have to stick the key in there. This particular one only has 86,000 miles on it. Now, this is the SMG transmission. It's kind of interesting. I couldn't figure out how to start the car when I first got in. First of all, there's no park, because this is SMG stands for sequential manual gearbox. There's essentially a reverse, then there's a 0, and then the drive modes are over here where it says M. To start the car, it needs to be in the 0 position. You need to have your foot on the brake and hold it, and then turn the key and hold it again. And literally, I had to hold it for, kind of like a couple seconds as the computers are kind of just calculating everything, making sure that it's okay to start. Right now you can see it's in the 0 position. That's kind of your neutral position. If I put the lever over this way, it goes into reverse. That's reverse, and the mirrors actually do automatically tilt down. And then for drive mode, I kind of have to slap the stick this way. There's 2 modes. There's the S mode, which you see there, and then if I swap it again, it goes to A. You would think that A means automatic, but it actually doesn't. That will not shift gears automatically. S is the mode that shifts gears automatically. Now, I guess, coming back to the rest of the interior, it's a pretty nice interior in here. It's high quality materials. You got soft touch dash materials, soft touch on the upper parts. You have an airbag cover here that kind of gives away it's an older design. You have this fake silver painted plastic, which I'm surprised that this was like a $60,000 car when it was new. I'm surprised they didn't use real alloy. Coming to the door panels, there are soft touch, chrome door handle, leather padded here. It's all nice materials. There's even soft touch down here and leather stitch as well. The steering wheel is is nice. It's a nice 3-spoke wheel. You got these paddle shifters for the SMG transmission. Very nice thick rim, good fat bolstering extension, nice leather stitch. The gauges for this vehicle actually light up the classic orange instrumentation lighting. You can see it's got roughly a 7,500 RPM red line. That does go up to 8,000 as soon as the engine comes up to temperature. It's nearly at temperature. In terms of the sound system, this one has your Harman Kardon audio system. No navigation, I don't believe, was available until 2003, but it does have single zone automatic climate control. You have a sport mode there. Of course, this is the convertible, so you can lower the top if you want. Now, coming back to the DSG transmission, it has 6 different driving modes for each A or S mode. If it's in S mode right now, you can actually play with this little toggle switch, and you can see it's got these little markers right there, which if you start playing with the toggles, they start adding a little bit more in terms of markers. This is the lowest setting. This is known as S1. It starts the transmission out in gear 2. Go up one more, it goes to S1. That's like kind of like a little bit more aggressive. S3 is kind of like middle ground. S4 and S5 are the more aggressive shift tuning or shift programming, so the vehicle will shift more abruptly but also quicker. So flop it again to A, you have your same thing, A1, A2, A3, A4, and A5. So it's actually 1 through 5. A1s through 5 or S through 5, not 6, I'm sorry. It's pretty complicated. But you have to keep in mind that this is literally one of the first sequential manual gearboxes in the business. Now, coming to the rest of the interior, the glove box is damped. Pretty decent size, actually, lined with felt. And coming to the center console here, there's actually no storage, but you do have this little coin holder right there, and then you have these little puny cup holders as well. But it is nicely leather stitched armrests. Overall, the interior in this vehicle is pretty decent for its time. Now, coming to the back seat of the M3, it does have a back seat, but to be honest, you're going to use this mostly for packages, because you can't really put people back here unless you really hate them, because there's not much in terms of legroom. You can see that's pretty much how the seat folds. I'm not sure why it's not going any further, but actually, there you go. Pull that makes it go further. You actually get, I guess, decent seats for children. The materials back here are actually surprisingly soft touch and leather stitch, so they did finish off the back seat nicely. Just expect to use it for mostly just carrying packages, not really putting people in there. Now, coming to the trunk of the M3, it's surprisingly, this is a convertible, it's gonna have a small trunk. Surprisingly though, because it's a soft top, it actually doesn't intrude that much on the cargo capacity. You have decent size. You can see I can fit my camera equipment in here pretty well. The opening's pretty large, and you don't have any, hinge strut or gooseneck hinges to crush your cargo. It does have struts. Now, coming under the hood, because this is an M product, you have one phenomenal engine. This is BMW's 3.2-liter S54 straight 6. It makes 333 naturally aspirated horses and about 269 pound-feet of torque. It's made to either a 6-speed manual or a 6-speed SMG. Now, the E46 was the last year that you can get a straight 6. The E90 switched to a V8, and everybody's pretty much assuming that BMW is going to go back to a straight 6 for the next generation, but it'll probably be twin-turboed. You can see it's got 6 individual throttle bodies. It's all pretty exotic stuff here. You kind of expect that with an M product. So let's take a look at how everything works together. All right, for all the BMW M3 fans out there, for those of you who are curious to see how a first-generation SMG transmission drives, let's take a look at how this M3 drives. Now, there'll only be one view for this video just because the headrest in this vehicle, they don't have a little metal parts there, so I can only attach it there. Sorry about that. Now, like I said, to get the vehicle going, kind of think of a manual transmission here. It's in neutral right now, and you just want to flop it over into the drive mode, and you want to have it in the S mode, like I said before, to get it to shift automatically. If you have it in the A mode, it will not shift automatically. You have to shift it with the paddle shifters or on this little joystick here. Now, interestingly enough, the vehicle shakes kind of somewhat noticeably when you first get it going. It almost feels like the car's slipping. I have a feeling that's just the way it is, because we actually did check it out, and it checked out okay, but that's just the way the transmission behaves, just because this is a single clutch automated manual. It's not a dual clutch. This is older technology, and you can see because this is a convertible, it's got some pretty nasty cowl shake as well. You can see very jerky transmission from my head. This thing just doesn't know how to shift smoothly for some reason. And the engine is up to temperature. It's just, this is how it drives. And to be honest, back then, I would have gladly taken the 6-speed manual and just saved myself the hassle of this herky-jerky SMG transmission. But I guess I can't really fault them. This is the very first of the technology, so you kind of have to get used to it. But anyways, in terms of, you know, driving the vehicle normally when you're not flooring the accelerator, which I wasn't, but the ride of this vehicle is on the firmer side, and you can definitely feel that the structure is weakened from the fact that they've chopped the roof off and turned it into a convertible. It's very, I mean, every bump that you hit kind of just sends a big shimmy throughout the seat and the structure of the vehicle, which is normal. It's a convertible. Convertibles, they add a bunch of weight when you take the roof off and they weaken the structure because there's no roof to support the rest of the structure, which is why it shakes. You can see even when you're slowing down, the thing's just kind of jerking my head around. It's kind of annoying. Now let's try it in the manual mode with the paddle shifters and see how that makes any difference. It actually does shift a little bit smoother when you have it in the manual mode with the paddle shifters, actually. It's a pretty fantastic sounding straight 6 as well. I can see exactly why there's a big faithful following for BMW's straight 6s. Now, U-turns in this vehicle actually aren't that bad, even though it's on 18-inch wheels. You can see the herky-jerkiness of the transmission continues to bob my head. But I mean, like I said, what can I expect? It's one of the first SMG transmissions in the business, so it wasn't right. BMW has done a much better job now with the current technology, but this just is, you know, their first technology. Now, the one thing you also notice about BMW is the steering is typical heavy, but it offers a lot of feedback. This thing just feels alive. It feels like I can feel exactly what the front tires are doing with the road. And, you know, it's got a pretty responsive transmission. This thing is just put your foot down and it just goes. And every time you slow down, it will. See here, it's got impressive pull. This thing just loves to be revved. You know, it's a true BMW straight 6. It loves being revved. Now, using the manual mode does help smooth things out a little bit, but it's actually more fun to me, actually. So if I was going to probably, you know, drive the SMG transmission, I would probably want to use the manual mode a little bit more. I mean, just because flick the paddles and it just... Ooh, I love that sound. That sounds really good. I'm very impressed with this car, despite its age and its mileage. So if you guys are in the market for one of these older M3s, I probably would recommend it with the 6-speed manual. But if you happen to find a DSG and you want the DSG, just have one of the first ones. You know, it's a classic car. Good luck finding one like this. It's in good shape. But thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all later.